welcome to the Woods with the Wolf. I got a special episode here. We're just gonna give a little Black History Month episode. I got my man here, Tremaine here, which I usually use to help edit the situation here, but he's gonna help lead the conversation today, which is a fellow African American man himself. So appreciate you showing up for me.
What's up, man? What's up, man? Thank you for allowing me on your platform.
Right on, right on. Yeah, we're midway through the Black History Month, so I guess it'd be a good update just to shout out to our viewers and keep this thing rolling on.
For sure, man. I'm just here assisting with the conversation. I'm gonna let you lead the way.
Okay, for sure. Well, I'm gonna start out because if anybody hasn't seen the 1619 project, it's a project or a documentary that's on Hulu right now. It's probably on other platforms, but right now it's definitely on Hulu. And I loved it, and I'm glad like I was able to see it during this time period because it got to show like a lot of the history that might have been swept under the rug. You know, I grew up in a public school system, so there's a lot of things I didn't know about my own culture and a lot of things that I didn't know that was going on in America that happened to Black people. So that was like another rendition, another study material that I got to see visually, and it was great. And one of the first topics I could talk about, which is probably like, I don't say a steamy topic, but I've asked people before. I think I've maybe a little bit more than a half. I don't know. I think everybody has their own opinion on it. On the TV show, they asked some politicians on this on this opinion, and they were like, well, slavery was 150 years ago, so they was wondering like, there's no need for reparations. And I was very surprised because to me, I'm all 100% for it for African Americans, just because we never actually got our specific reparations for it. I remember they spoke about it in the actual TV show, in the documentary, which I heard before. But one thing I heard that really got me 100% for is that I didn't know this, but they actually gave slaveholders reparations when they set the slaves free.
I heard that.
And I was like, what? And I was like, and they said they put it under the premise of loss of property. So I was like, so you're telling people that owned the slaves got reparations, and the actual slaves didn't get reparations. And ever since I heard that fact, I was like, oh, we definitely need them, because coming from a military family, I know even if something happened to my dad, the military would pay the family, even if that parent is not there. And a lot of people say we're not slaves, and well, none of us were alive when it happened, so why should we get reparations? You still pay the descendants of the people if you never got the actual person who was affected by it. So that's my opinion on it. I'm like, well, heck, if you pay slave reparations, please get the slaves and their descendants their reparations. What do you think about the first time you heard that, Tremaine?
Man, I heard it, and I didn't see the documentary, so I'm not that versed or well educated in it to say if I subscribe to reparations or not, because I know just as being a Black man, I'm just supposed to subscribe to what the majority of Black folks tell us to, and we have to get out of there. We have to do the work for ourselves.
100%.
But we in the majority know what's going on, what happened, and what our ancestors went through. So,
True.
With reparations, I have to ask myself, how much do we deserve? And also, I have to understand in life, there's nothing that is free.
100%.
So, I mean, I know we can say that our ancestors paid for whatever we'll get.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about getting reparations from the people that has enslaved us, will it be genuine? You know what I'm saying? So I just have to ask, like, how much do we deserve? So if you believe that we are earned or we are deserving of reparations, how much would you deserve?
Yeah, exactly. I think so reparations, actually, if anybody didn't know this or probably did, it was actually on the table for us. What I learned from the 1619 Project, I didn't know who it was from, but the 1619 Project said those Blacks who actually served in the military, their white leader, I guess the commander, asked them, like, since y'all fought, because a lot of those Blacks actually ran away from slavery to join the Union Army to get their freedom. And so, since they obviously did a really great job, the commanders were asking, like, what exactly do you want? And from this documentary, they said that the Black leader said, we want land and a mule to work that land. So if you ever heard black people say we want our 40 acres and a mule, that's where that exactly came from.
Right.
I think they allotted like 400,000 acres of land, but that was supposed to be allotted to black people, and that's where each individual slave was supposed to get 40 acres and a mule to work that land. And that was on the table. Abraham Lincoln was all for it, and you obviously know the horrible demise that happened to Abraham Lincoln. And I believe the next president, Andrew Johnson, he might have to fact check me on that. But I do know that as soon as Abraham Lincoln was assassinated, the next president took the whole reparations off the table. Yeah. But as I said before, the slaveholders got their reparation, but the slaves never did get reparations. So we've been that debt has never been paid for us ever since the Civil War happened.
Right.
So I guess as far as deserve or how much do we deserve, I think, from my opinion, I would base it off of what 40 acres and a mule would have been
today. And I actually have it pulled up. Okay. It says the value of 40 acres and a mule for those 40,000 freed slaves will be worth $640 billion today. So
billion. Per person, or is like all together? You think maybe?
No, it's 40 out of 40,000 slaves.
Oh, gotcha.
They will pay. They will have the amount of $640 billion available to divide within all of those descendants. But man, I just look at the reality. Okay, you give a Okay, let's be real. Let's look at black families.
Right.
All of the and a lot of this caused by slavery. So don't get me wrong. I understand where all this come from, but all of the chaos that a lot of families are going through, a lot of the distrust they have for each other, the out of order rhetoric that we the majority subscribe to. How, you know what I'm saying? Like, how do we? My thing is I'm not a guy just give me something and I'm gonna be okay.
Right on.
Because if you give a child something, just whatever, something nice, they don't know how to value it, how to take care of it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But as you get older, and you start to earn things, you start to take care of it, you start to appreciate it more.
Yeah. So I understand what you're saying.
What does the black community look like when we are giving a lot of money? And I can answer that. Mm-hmm. Let's look at PPP. Let's look at COVID.
Right.
When all of the opportunities.
What did they do with it? Yeah.
What did we do with it? Mm-hmm. Did we take the unemployment checks? Did we take those PPP loans, and did we apply it to push our families forward? Did the majority? Of course, there's always exceptions. Mm-hmm. But did the majority of our black community, did we take the money that was given to us during the pandemic? Did we apply that towards the betterment of our community and our youth?
I got you.
Or did we apply it for self-gain, clout, self-gain, material things, vacations, things that hold no value over time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got you. And I want to take that opinion, and also because this is when what I thought about, so we could come back to that. But the first thing I thought about was like, this may ruffle some feathers, but the reparations ruffle some feathers, so I guess we might as well go and dive into it. But like, when somebody owes you money, like, think about how you treat that person, right? Like, I'm thinking about the whole picture of how the relations between a black person, like black people in America and white people in America. If you feel like somebody owes you money, not even talking about race right now, like how do you usually treat them? Usually kind of let them know, like, hey, if it's a lot of money, you know what I'm saying, that might cause a rift between the friendship, you know what I'm saying? Especially if you feel like they might have the means to pay it, or they just acting like they don't want to pay it. You know what I mean? But then you see, what offer you add that on there, like, you see them spending money on other things. Mm-hmm. And you're kind of saying like, don't you owe me money? Like, how are you down at casino spending money and you owe me money? Or how are you giving other friends money that we both know that I needed just as much as they needed, and I see you spending it up to other things? So I kind of think about that with reparations. Like, we see, okay, yeah, we may not be able to afford to pay, because that's one thing a lot of people tell me when I bring up reparations, like, how are we gonna pay that bill? Like, everybody knows it's a lot of money, so they're like, how are we gonna do that? We can't afford that. We're already in debt.
How is America gonna pay?
Yeah, that's most people that I talk to. They think that. And
like I say, I'm not well educated in financial literacy in on that scale. So I could be totally wrong. I'm open to being wrong, but don't America print their own money?
Exactly.
So
and we seen what they did with COVID.
The problem ain't the problem ain't the ability to print enough money to give us. It's always like from an economic perspective of okay. Let's look at the rich, middle class, and the poor. If everybody was rich, there would be no rich. If everybody was wealthy, wealthy wouldn't exist.
Exactly. Because
wealthy is always a rarity, and it's the minority.
Exactly. Right.
So without poor, without average, there's no above average. So to give everybody millions of dollars, that will literally break the economy. Everything will be inflated.
Right.
Literally, it just happened. That's why we're in the reparation now. Now everyone is getting broke.
The recession, yeah.
Now we're resetting.
Yeah.
So it's so many variables. I think a lot of people look at it from a surface level. Just give me some money and I'm good. But you know why? Because you always, and not you, but generally, as people, we always think about us, our four and no more. But if you literally think about giving, how many black people is in America?
I know we're 13% of the population.
We're 13%. Man, of course, millions.
Yeah.
You give millions and millions of people millions and millions of dollars. That's going to literally inflate everything.
Yeah.
We think the housing market is inflated now.
Do you think that will help out the relationship between black and white people in America?
No, sir.
You don't think so?
No. No, sir.
So you think we get our money, we'll still be like, man, we don't really click with y'all. Or we're still mad at you for what y'all done.
You know what? Let me revisit that question. Because I seen a video and someone explained that a lot of the things that we deem as racial disputes is just a income class dispute. So
I can see that.
Pretty much they said a black rich man and a white rich man have more in common than a poor rich man and a rich. Hold on. I said it wrong. A black rich man and a white rich man have more in common than a white rich man and a poor white rich man.
Yeah.
Like
I can see that. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm a rich man, me and this other white rich man are more than likely to get along, align ourselves with each other, than me or than him and a poor white rich man. He sees no value in him. So a lot of the things that we may deem as racism is just people, other races or whatever, a class of people looking at us as the inferior human because we lack resources.
Yeah.
So I can see from their perspective if black people enlarge their resources. Now
then I know from that perspective, then it would put us more on the equal level.
So, but then people will take that perspective, take what I just said and flip it, and then say that why should we have to match our whatever to get them to accept us? And I'm a person that understands the realities of life. Is like I'm a musician. So if I don't put in the work, I can't get in the door with the other great musicians. The other 40 Drake producer. Just because I'm talented and gifted doesn't mean anything. I have to put in work.
Yeah.
I have to put in learn, I have to put in work to get in the room to be accepted by people that I believe that I should be in the room with like those guys.
But sometimes hard work doesn't always get you there. I mean, sometimes
that's true. That's true. Yeah. That's true. And people need to
work really hard, but they still are in the classes.
But hard work does. I look at life like odds. Like your odds are higher.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So you know, somebody can be the hardest working, most gifted person ever, and they still cannot make it. Make whatever they deem is make it. Their perspective, because make it can mean whatever you want. But you have to you have to give yourself the opportunity to to, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
to
That's what
try.
I heard.
To,
I heard
to
what they
make
said.
it.
Luck is hard work meets opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, if you're right there at the right place and you already put the work in.
That's really what it is, bro. And it's all, and then, you know, a lot of this is about your network.
Very much so, yeah.
Your network, because, you know, I can be you could be the most gifted actor in the room, and I could never act in my life. But if
Spielberg walked across at that right time,
if I'm
in the building,
or if I've met Spielberg in the past and he likes me as a person,
exactly,
he may give me an opportunity over you.
Exactly,
it's a high possibility because he can trust me as a person first.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. He has a relationship with you.
So I mean, you asked the question, bro, and I don't think there's a straight answer of if we. What do you say if we build our resources? Would that help?
Oh yeah, relationship between white and black people. From your example, it kind of sounds like it does. From your example,
it will,
but it's obviously more. It's more to play.
Yeah, bro. But
in the grand scheme of things, because everybody is not like just the basic rich man and black man. You know, they might choose. The thing is I can see now. We both agree it's not about the money. It's really not about the money anymore. It's about if they want to give it to us, and then I think what you're saying too is like what we're gonna do with that money anyway. Are we even gonna put it in the right resources?
You know, let's talk about. It needs to be. I like to look at things like way ahead. Like I don't look at tomorrow. I look at next year. So okay, you can give me the money. That's fine. You can give all of us the money. Mm-hmm. What does life look like 5 years from now? Yeah, when everyone has $10 million. To do whatever with. What does life really look like?
But who is everyone though? Because it won't be. We're only 13% of the population.
Well, I'm talking about black folks. I just didn't want to.
But the thing is like from my perspective, everybody else had that shot when we didn't. You know what I'm saying? We were in breeding cages at a certain time. Like that's another thing of the 1619 project, which is like to me, it's like. Man, they had us in breeding cages, bro. Like,
so you really just like give us the opportunity.
Yeah, give us. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, we just not real. Like, come on. Like every white person didn't do everything great with their opportunity either, but they had the opportunity. Like, in America, a white male had the chance to vote, buy property, and marry who they wanted to. Here, you know what I'm saying? We didn't have none of those. You know what I mean? So, and that's a lot of people say like even America is a young country compared to a lot of countries. So and they wilded out. You know, we fought against each other. That's like the bloodiest war, and we fought against each other north and south. Mm-hmm. So like you know, even white America wasn't perfect. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, we might tear up some stuff, but hey, that's a part of life. But I feel like we were robbed of that. But then not only were we robbed of that, because our reparations to me is like even when we were freed. We didn't even have a chance after that. Like it wasn't like you were free. All right, bet, do your thing. Now it's like, oh, we about to put some slave codes and Jim Crow laws on you. Now you can't even ride the bus where you want to. You can't go to school where you want to. You can't even marry who you want to. And also, we're gonna make the justice system against you. So now we're gonna put y'all back in the jail. And then I had in the 1619 project, if you had a child in prison, that child belonged to the state at that point in time. So now it was like. Even more bondage, you know what I'm saying? Because that's what happened in slavery. If you had a kid in slavery, that kid was in slavery. Like, So chattel slavery in America was way different. Like, I know the Bible talks about like slave masters be kind of your slave and slaves do what you're. But they weren't the same kind of slavery that's in the Bible. Like, you know, like in the Bible, you could sell yourself into slavery if you owe somebody money. And then the 7th year, which is like the year of Jubilee, which is year like perfection, you could be free from that. Like whatever debt, you know what I'm saying, the free. But this chattel slavery that America had, there was like no escaping. Like you were ringed up from the neck. Right.
I ask myself this, like when we think about reparations, I believe it's two people who are asking for it. Mm-hmm. I think the first person is someone who truly believes they deserve a right at a livelihood like our white races, our Asian races. Mm-hmm. And then I believe that the second person is someone who just sees the dollar. Right. And that's just a source. There's just a way out. Yeah. There's just a way out. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, of course, I definitely stand, you know, if I stand as the first person, you know what I'm saying, to be given an opportunity. Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, and I believe that we are the generation suited for that. If I look at it, I don't believe that. I appreciate everyone before us that set the foundation, but I believe that we are the most radical generation to
100%.
to really press boundaries and push movements for us that our ancestors gave us the opportunity to do. Because I never want to diminish what they did.
Yeah.
Somebody has to set the foundation.
Exactly.
I pray that the generation after us get it together,
yeah,
so that they can follow suit. But we have to keep having these uncomfortable conversations. Somebody may hear me talk on this and get offended about something I say, but I ask you, what would you rather us talk about?
Exactly.
Because we could just talk about his jersey. We could talk about Carmelo Anthony and basketball, and that literally holds no value when we go to sleep. It holds no value now as we speaking about it. But we're young black men that choose to talk about things that are bigger than us.
Yeah, very much.
So whether you 100% agree with what me or you say, you should support the conversation.
Very much so, and dive deep into our history, man.
Yeah.
Like really, just like it's the last time and we know that everything we learned in public school probably wasn't the best way we supposed to learn, or everything being 100% right. But just go do your own research as well, and please, because you'll be surprised what you learn.
So go do your own research, and I definitely, I can't disagree with that. But let's talk about how our history is being erased. Thank God for 1619 Project.
Right.
But it's a lot more history that's been erased, being removed from schools, being removed from any organization. I
don't know nothing like that. I don't know. I mean, I've seen reports of people, the school system saying they could opt out of Black history. And I'm like,
yeah.
I don't even know. I didn't think that was a choice we could even have. Like, what else can we opt out of? Like, shoot, I was in school the whole time. Like, if I had a choice, I would have opted out of a lot of stuff.
Yeah, so it's really up to us. It's up to the community to have conversations. We have to teach kids at home as well. A lot of people send their kids off to school and expect them to do all of the work, all of the educating. You got kids that ain't picked up a pencil all summer unless they was in summer school. They just doing enough.
That's real.
And that's what I'm saying. We have to get out of just doing enough. When are we going to excel? When are we going to really prosper?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So we got to keep having a conversation, and sometimes we got to say that ain't good enough.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about, of course, to other races, it's not good enough how you treat us. True. But let's look at each other and say that's not good enough how we treat each other.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
True. So, yeah, we gotta hold ourselves accountable too. Well.
Yeah, we turn a blind eye when there's Black violence.
Yeah.
It happens every day.
Yeah.
But we march the street when
somebody else kills us.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? As we should. But we should be equally upset as when the 13-year-old boy in the hood died by the 15-year-old. We need to be upset about that. We need to ask some questions. Hold
ourselves accountable.
Right. So there's a lot of things that I need to learn as I grow up. A lot of things I want to participate in.
Right.
So I'm gonna just do my part.
Please do.
I'm gonna do my part, bro.
Please do. And hopefully everybody who's watching does that part as well, because it's a joint fight.
Right.
Joint fight.
It's a joint fight, man. What else you want to talk about, bro?
I don't know, man. Shoot, what do you want to talk about? Family household between Blacks, or what do you think?
It's your call, man. So we talk about family households. I mean, you kick it off.
I'm very cautious because I know how deep you are. So it's like we're both deep people. So it's like we're just like, before we dive deep.
I'll tell you this, bro. And I just started looking at it like this. I would truly rather be deep than shallow.
It's real tough.
I would rather a person who is able to unpack conversations than a person who literally sits on the top of the water and they're confined in it. They're okay with that. They're okay with not understanding the reality of things, because you know what? It makes them comfortable. It feels good to not know the truth.
Right.
It feels good not to look at your bank out when you know the money is getting low. But it's okay to deep dive in it and see why it's getting low instead of hiding from it. That's so right. We got to stop hiding from things, hiding on reasons why things happen, because it may hurt the people around us.
I feel you on that.
You know, so I really don't mind having any conversation that will help push people forward. And when has truth never helped somebody move forward?
Sets people free, man. I'm with you. I think we'll just keep this episode on reparations, and we can just wrap it up on that. But
okay,
we'll catch you next time when we need to.
All right, I'll be done.
Thanks y'all for tuning in. Hopefully by year 2024, we both will be pockets sitting pretty fat from our ancestors' work that they did, and then we get some reparations soon. Believe it, yeah. Believe it, it shall come true. I appreciate y'all tuning in.